Hi, guys. My name is Anne. I am a compulsive overeater and a bulimic, and I weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the gray sheet. My food is submitted to my sponsor. I don't eat between meals no matter what. And abstinence is the most important thing in my life without exception. And I hope you can hear me because there was a little bit of in and out. Okay, good, good. Um, let's see. Welcome to Sherry and Jacqueline. And let's see, congratulations to Linda. Um, I think this program is miraculous. It's been miraculous for me. Um, and I think my story just serves the person who can't stop to know that they just keep coming back. And eventually this thing can take a hold of you. And you too don't have to ever feel that way again. That's what I heard people say when I came in. They said, you know, the way that you feel like the day after the binge in the morning, the remorse. They said, what if you never, ever have to feel that way again? And I might have felt like sad and down and, dejected about many other things over 23 years, but I have never had to feel that way again. And that's a unique feeling of absolute self-hatred and hopelessness. It's the pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization. And so I stay tight and close with GreySheeters because I don't want to feel that way again. I don't want to go back there. I want to keep what I have. And the truth of it is, it's about giving it away and helping the next person. And that can look different for a lot of us are involved in behind the scenes service, and some people are just talking to a lot of GreySheeters during the day with people calling food. And um, it's just about stay tight in the middle of the herd. And the herd used to have really negative connotations to me. I remember when I was in my teens, no, I was like in my first job, I was in my late teens and back in Ireland. And I went into this hospital ward where I was working I was new graduate therapist. One of the men in there looked at me and said, "Oh, look at that. Beef to the heels like the Mullingar heifers." And Mullingar is a place in Ireland, and the heifers are the cows. And so he was basically describing beef to the heels like the Mullingar heifers was what I looked like. And I remember how that felt. And I remember trying to put on this I'm not bothered facade and moving on and feeling so hot on the inside. And I think it's the way I move through life. Like, I'm not going to let it show. And I learned in my household, my family learned to go to your room and cry if you felt emotional about anything. You didn't have emotional discussions. You went to your room and cried, and I learned to eat. Those are the two things I learned as my copers in life. And so, yeah, I look back over a couple of pictures, and so I was never like clinically obese, but I probably moved the same 50 pounds up and down repeatedly for years and years. And I did come across one picture that's about 30 years old. And I don't know if it says it for you guys. Let me see if I can show it at all to the screen to see me. And I was in Las Vegas and I was binging. And so I just, I had not, no, I had recently discovered bulimia before this picture, but I was a fat bulimic at times because it depends how much you're eating and how much you're being bulimic, whether the weight stays on you. So I've had all phases of this situation of just purely overeating and trying to get rid of it, being successful at times and then losing weight, and then being other times being totally unsuccessful. But there was a culmination of how bad it got, and Gray Sheet was there for me. That's what saved me. My disease got the worst, surrounded by GreySheeters, going to meetings, uh, doing it every day, doing everything you guys prescribed. I did it all every day, and then it got worse. And so I think the beauty of that and that story is to show people that it's not a moral issue at all. And for some people, their first meeting is where the light shines and they stop and they don't have to binge again. For me, I had 6 months of being surrounded by you all, inspired by you all, but thinking, that I may be one of those that doesn't get it. And what I was being schooled in a meditation practice. I was going to group meditation with people who were working spiritual principles. And so in my quiet times, when I brushed the crumbs off, all I kept getting back was don't leave, keep going, keep going. So I did. And here it is. I haven't yet had to go back and take that compulsive flight again. I stick to the gray sheet. I call it my sponsor. If I have anything that I'm not sure about with my food, I just don't make the decision. Um, he's my guide for my food amounts when my first of the month and the number on the scale. She's the one I discuss with um, whether something needs to stay the same, be added, be taken away, whatever that is. And I now trust that. It's sort of like the basis for me. It's that foundational thing that, 3 times a day, I do this thing that allows me to live the time in between meals better than I could binging. Because when I'm in the disease, all the time in between the meals is obsession, tending to keep that facade up. I'm okay, but internally dying because I'm figuring out what I need to get rid of, what I need to get for the next meal, and how I'm going to fit in my clothes. So it's like a horrible, horrible existence. Um, so I got to Gray Sheet after about 4 or 5 years in regular OA, and I got sentenced to regular OA when I went to a therapist when I broke up with my first husband. And I went to her sobbing about all the woes, what he had done to me. And she told me I had to go to an OA meeting. Well, I told her how I coped with what he had done to me, and that was like copious amounts of food, vomiting. And she told me I had to go to an OA meeting before I came back to her the next week. And that, I guess that was the beginning of the light starting to shine, because I really do think I didn't have a concept for the light uh, before that. And the light before then was just something elusive and all was external. It wasn't anything that came from within or that shone from within all of us, or that was just one big light that we're all seeking. I had no interest in it. Just wanted the next addictive substance. Um, my path was that if I think I got to Gray Sheet at first, I would have left because it felt so extreme. So maybe I needed some like baby steps of being around people in OA and learning about principles and the steps and all that piece before I was ready to really put the food down. Um, I don't feel regret or shame about any part of my story, even though it's pretty gnarly in parts. But I don't have to share the gnarly parts just to get brownie points with people. Um, I know on my insights that they say you look inside yourself and you acknowledge that you truly are an alcoholic. And for eating, I truly am one of us. And so I love the fact that there's this kind of extreme answer to the extreme problem that I have. I have an extreme version of this disease. And this thing is my insulin. It's my chemotherapy for the dis-ease that I have. And if I keep taking the chemotherapy, which I actually love 3 times a day, I have the best chance of having the best life. And just living through all kinds of life stuff with all of the rest of you, with some sort of dignity around the food. I'm not protected from, sadness and life events and loss and all of the above, but comes with that is all the joys and feeling my feelings as I go and feeling the joy that's just being. My recent AA sponsor who passed away used to say that joy is the thing that bubbles up inside of you for no reason. And I felt that. I don't remember feeling it before abstinence. I had happiness. I had moments of feeling like, oh, I'm joyful, but it was always tied to something, tied to because he loves me, because they accept me, because they think that I'm great. I got the A. But having a feeling of good, happy deliciousness inside of me for no good reason is the real joy. I think that's when they talk about inner contentment, inner peace. Well, I'm going to keep it. And I just live life and do the same drill as we all do every day. My favorite time of day is over with. That's breakfast. But lunch is coming. And to people not in Gray Sheet, that sounds crazy. And I'll take that version of crazy over what I used to be. But I
10
know
minutes,
how oh,
five
thank you, Layla.
minutes.
Thanks. I know what I'm like from the end of breakfast to the beginning of lunch. I can be functional and sober with the food. I know the difference on the insides. That's the thing is that initially when I got abstinent, the outsides looked similar. I lived in the same house. I worked in the same job. I had the same car. The insides had this whole, the light was able to shine. There was a really dark internal place for me before abstinence. And I guess the message is that, we burn it into the consciousness of any man that he can get sober, abstinent. And I believe in that because of my experience, because I tried all the things you said. The beauty is I tried going to 90 and 90, which I did. And I wrote it down and I called on time and I shopped and I chopped and I did everything. And I still ate. So that was a gift for me because that taught me that it's not about being an A student, being a good person. It's mysterious who gets it and who doesn't. And I only keep it by today, talking to the next gray sheeter, weighing and measuring my food, and seeing what I can do to give it away. And I don't know what's ahead. And at another meeting before, we were talking about being a bozo on the bus and like a kettle on the beach. And that's an enviable position for me. It's trouble when I start thinking that I'm shining or that I'm better than, or that he likes me more, or I'm the better therapist at work, or any of these things that elevate me. It's almost like I feel like I'm climbing a ladder. And if I get up a rung, you're down a rung and I've stepped you climbing. As if there's some place at the top that I'm heading for as like the winner. And the truth is that, I need to go down a rung, grab your hand, and we need the rung wide enough for all of us. Because that's when I'm in the lifeboat. I have to give a mention before I stop about I love my food. I'm really unusual and probably quirky and strange about my food, but you guys would get it. Like I found large breakfast fruits, which since I moved from LA to Georgia is like rare. But I found a bunch lately and I cleaned them out. And when I go through that cashier line and cashier says, wow, they're good apples. I said, yeah, they are, huh? Like I always felt I had to explain myself in life. I have to explain myself less. And the times I feel like I need to give a whole bunch of explanation is a clue for me that I'm feeling inadequate or not okay in the moment. And I love when I can just say, uh-huh, you know, and they're in my fridge and they make me really happy. Um, it might be a different thing that you guys get elevated and feel good about in your gracious abstinence. But there's certain things that for me, there's always been something that's like delicious and wonderful. And I make my meals the best. And you know what? My meal needs to be good because I have a whole freaking 4 hours before the next one. And when I first got together with my husband, I would always, if we were around in a restaurant, which was rare, or whatever we were doing, I'd say, "What time is it?" When I took my last bite of my meal, and he just didn't get quiet. I want to know, wow, what time is it? He said, "I want to know when I can eat again." And I need 4 hours from the last bite to the first bite of the next. Now, that's such a strange little detail, but it's comforting to me because the little kid inside of me who feels in the dark place, inadequate, terrified, needs me to scoop her up on my lap and say, "You know what, honey? We can eat again in 4 hours." Of course, the thing is, I'm not hungry between meals. When I get ready for the meal, I'm hungry. But I'm not like straining at the bit and starting. Because I do eat like greasy and big. And I endorse it and I support that. Um, because it's the greatest act of self-love that I've ever undertaken in my life with weighing and measuring 3 meals a day. And I'll wind up by saying the person who Eskimoed me into this program isn't here anymore. But I see her in other meetings. And she said those 3 meals a day are like 3 kisses from God. But when I put the food on the scale and I see 4.0, I can just say, hi, God. I do that 3 times a day. I've already connected with the higher power, with the thing that allows me to go in there and do that and not have 4.1, not have extra.
1 minute
Shut
left.
the, thank you. I can shut the fridge door. I'm the same in the kitchen when you're there and when you're not. I have to qualify that. And you may pick up the plate and lick it a little more with relish when you're not there. But Jen, I'm going to eat the same food whether you're there or not. It wasn't happening. The facade was always in gear to make me okay, but I had no insight, comfort. And my gray sheet meals are the foundation of my comfort, whether that's tough stuff in my day or joyous stuff. And like cinnamon. Thanks.